Well, hello, Salina, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me during this Black Girls Lift Spotlight interview. We are delighted that you're here today with us. And as you likely know, the point of this conversation is just for members to find motivation through your story and become inspired by your fitness advice and just learn a little bit more about who you are. My name is Kiara Imani, and I am representing Black Girls Lift, and we are an organization aimed at teaching, motivating, and inspiring women to work out. So I guess I just want to jump in and get started and ask you to just tell us a little bit about, who you are and what's your story.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on. It's such a pleasure. I've really enjoyed all of the work that I've done thus far with Black Girls Lift. It's so great. I love Candace and the work she's done. So my name is Salina, and I am a health and fitness coach. I've been a coach now for about 11 years. My journey kind of started at that about 10 years ago when I kind of came into this field. And I've done a lot of pivoting and exploration throughout my journey, but I have a true passion for helping those on their journey and getting people to really hone in to themselves, their bodies, build that confidence. And I truly believe that this is my calling. I love doing it. And I started a business about 2 years ago now, my own health and fitness business where I teach private clients virtually mainly. And I also have a virtual studio where myself, along with some of my other coaches, offer a variety of different classes, live and interactive, anything ranging from strength, cardio to yoga and spin. So yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, first of all, starting your own studio. That's huge.
Thank you.
Can you tell me just a little bit more about what inspired you to get into fitness in the first place? How did you actually become a trainer?
So I would say, all my childhood, I grew up with my mom, single mom, and she was actually a health and phys ed teacher. So we grew up, knowing the importance of, she always stuck me in activities and sports and always sort of preached healthy living, healthy lifestyle. And so it was sort of ingrained in me from a very young age. And I actually I got my undergraduate degree in international relations. So I had a very different interest. And then something just clicked, I will say I traveled abroad after I graduated. And when I went abroad and I got outside of the US, it was really interesting to me to see how different cultures, different countries tackled health and fitness and how it was incorporated into their lifestyles, the food that they ate. And I kind of just wanted to dive into that even more. So I went on to pursue my graduate degree, my master's, and that's when that real shift happened. I started diving more into, my interests of how we as humans thrive, focusing in on, elevating our health and our well-being. And that was through the avenues of honing in on nutrition and honing in on getting people to move well and often. So that has been something that I've been really, I guess the 10 years mark was when I really started building my fitness, kind of the growth of what I am today, I guess, with my journey.
Wow. I love that you talked about, majoring in one thing and then deciding to do something different later, because I think so many times when we're younger, we go to school and it's like, I'm 18. Why am I expected to know what I want to do with the rest of my life? So I love that you gave yourself the space and freedom to figure it out.
Yeah, it was quite a pivot. I mean, I thought I wanted to be a diplomat. That was
Wow.
my mindset was. But the interesting part is that I really feel that my undergrad, my background in international relations helped me to really be able to understand the different perspectives and be able to just talk to people, because when you work one-on-one with clients, you're really getting to know them and communicating with them. And the all of the tools that you have in your toolbox, that communication, that knowledge of the world is extremely important when you really connect with someone and get to know them on a deeper level.
I love that. I was once told that you don't have to bury any of who you are to become who you're becoming. And so you being able to just use all of your skills to train, I think is just amazing. Can I ask you what motivates you to stay consistent with like your workouts? I know a lot of people have, trouble with consistency.
Yeah, I think that is definitely something that we all struggle with on a regular basis. Even I do. For me, I think if I'm out here preaching it, I have to practice it. And that's how I can stay true to what I do. And so that's a really big driver for me. I don't feel genuine being able to give that advice out if I'm not practicing it in my regular day. And then also, I come from a family. I have many siblings. I've got 6 sisters, and I am one of the oldest. So leading by example, showing my younger sisters how important it is to hone in on your health and focus in on that, in hopes that they too can live, long, prosperous lives and stay healthy and fit.
Wow, big family. That's awesome.
Yes.
What advice do you have maybe for your clients who are having a hard time staying motivated or consistent?
I think that, so much of the time we focus in on these short-term goals and the quick fix. I mean, it's pretty common, especially here in the US, we expect things fast. And I think we need to take a step back and just understand it's not just about weight loss, weight gain, or whatever that we sometimes kind of lose sight of. It's about what our values are. And if you value your life, your family, and you want to, show up and be your best every day for your family, for yourself, you really have to understand what allows you to do that. So I always tell people, it does require that mindset shift, and it doesn't happen overnight, but to constantly just remind yourself that you can lose the weight, and that's a great goal to strive for, but it's so much bigger than that. And it's so much bigger than just you as an individual. And sometimes when you start to focus less on yourself and more kind of, your community, your family, sometimes that resonates a little bit better, I've found in the past.
Wow, I love that. So would you say that most of the people who are coming to you, they have like short-term goals related to like loss of like weight or trying to fit into a wedding dress maybe, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I always say short-term goals are not bad. I do not deter people from having them. I just think that it's important to remember your short-term as well as your long-term, because short-term can be just that, short-lived, and then once it's done, it's like, you have a hard time focusing in on, okay, what's next, right? So if you have the long-term vision with those little short-term goals, it gives you that perspective, and it helps you stay on track a little bit easier than just the short term, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. And for people who, might be really busy, like maybe they're moms and they're working full-time jobs and they just have a lot going on, what advice do you have for them about how to incorporate fitness into their lifestyle?
Yeah, it's tough. We are all extremely busy and overworked and overwhelmed. And what I always try to get clients to remember is that there's just so many ways that you can get your movement in, and to think a little bit outside of the box. One of the reasons why I actually started offering most of my services online and going virtually was for that reason, because I started recognizing, well, it was twofold, I guess, because I've moved just several times, and it's really hard as a trainer to, get to the city and rebuild. You build these relationships, and they're so meaningful, and you want to continue working with your people, right? And so that was one big reason. But the other big part of it was that I learned, I recognized that clients just, they felt like failures when they couldn't show up for their sessions with me in person. And it's like,
Mhm.
wow, you know what? You don't have a sitter for your kid. You can't physically get to the gym. That doesn't mean that we can't do anything. Like, let's continue to work. You can log in via your computer and we can do what we can do with what you have. And that was a huge driver for me. This was even before COVID. When I decided I wanted to create a virtual studio, this was the reason. I wanted easier access for folks to get their workouts in a space that was just more convenient, more attainable. We don't always have the time, and that's just the reality of it. I personally love going to the gym and going to classes, but is it realistic for me to do that 4 or 5 times out of the week? Maybe not. And this is a great solution to that. Do what you can with what you have and the time that you have. I think that you can even get in a quick 10-minute workout. And you can do it in your pajamas at home. And that's the beauty of it, right? You don't have to always have everything perfectly aligned. And we are very critical and hard on ourselves, and we consider ourselves failures a lot of the time if we don't get exactly what we want. But we have to also give ourselves a little bit more grace to understand that something is always better than nothing, right?
Mm. That's so good. And I'm sure, it's been great for you that you kind of started moving to a digital space before all of this happened, because now everybody else is kind of like scrambling to figure out how this works. Since you have kind of been in this space, do you maybe have advice for people who are trying to move to a digital space in terms of like workout or working with the trainer and like what that looks like? Like, are there certain programs that you're using or?
Yeah, I think, everybody's different. So you have to find what's going to work for you. For me, the classes that I offer, they're taught via Zoom. So they are interactive. I am looking to have that connection still with people because a lot of us really need it and we don't get it now. And so live streaming workouts, I still think there's a space for them. I think they're fabulous, but sometimes people need that accountability to be able to have someone see them, to be seen, so that they can also perform at their best and give 100%. Some people are intrinsically motivated and don't need that. So you really just have to kind of figure out, who am I? How do I best operate? But I think that there's just so many resources out there right now for live streaming, for these interactive Zoom, training sessions and things. You got to figure out, can I work at my best with a group in a group setting, or do I need that one-on-one attention? And just focus on what resonates with you. It's always an individual journey. So again, just focusing in on who am I, what do I enjoy, what holds me to perform at my highest. And that's always something you got to return to.
That's such good advice. I've actually heard women talk about how they miss going to get their hair done or going to see their trainer, not necessarily just for like the thing itself, but because they've, grown comfortable with and close to these people that they're spending so much time with. So I think it's awesome that you're giving people an opportunity to still have that like face-to-face interaction.
Oh yeah, it's big for me too. I mean, I miss it. And when I see someone, it's amazing to me that you can still feel that warmth just by someone on a screen, right? I mean, to see someone smiling back at you, there's something to that, right?
Yeah, like we're not in the same room, but I feel like we're together, I love it. So speaking of hair, for a lot of Black women, hair is a big concern when it comes to working out. What advice do you have for women who might be, struggling with what to do with their hair, or even do you have tips to share about what you do with your hair?
It's funny. I was watching one of your previous interviews with, I believe the trainer, her name was HJ.
Yeah, Coach HJ, she's awesome.
She was great. It was really great to see that interview. But she was talking about the gloss rags, and I love them. They're great for kind of pulling back the moisture. I will admit I've been on my curly hair journey for these last few years, so I haven't straightened anything in a very long time or relaxed anything.
Well, it looks great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's a journey though. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I will also fully admit that this is the first time that I've actually done the curls up because I knew that this was happening. Usually it gets pulled back, and it's a lot of maintenance for us, and I have to take breaks. I have to go get my hair braided to just, you know, take the time to not always spend the time. But I think that's always been something that I've had to do. Just if I want to focus in on, my natural hair journey, I can do that. But when I need the breaks, I take them.
Mm.
And your hair looks amazing,
Thank
actually.
you. Yeah, I got these done. My friend's mom did them last week because it was the same. I was like, I need a break. I can't do this. And then I have been trying to do more like workouts outside, but it's summer and it's hot and, it's just hard.
It is. It very much is, and I think it's always a conversation that we have, right? And again, this goes back to just honoring yourself. When you know you need the break, we have those styles that we can turn to that help protect the hair and give us some space.
Thank God for protective styles.
Yes, I agree.
So, what advice would you say do you have for someone who might feel a little bit, insecure about having to like lift weights, especially with women? There's a lot of talk about, women and lifting weights and being too bulky and it's not like a women's activity.
Mm. Well, I think this comes up a lot. I mean, I think every trainer has been asked this so many times, and I guess what I can say is, if you consider me to be bulky, then that can answer your question, perhaps. I mean, I have a pretty lean physique, and I almost exclusively weight train. I think
Wow.
resistance training is you truly getting your body to transform, right? There's cardio, and there's a special place for cardio, and it's important. However, that doesn't always lead to that transformation that you want to see, the muscle definition that you want to really see. And ultimately, when you're doing a cardio workout, you're burning lots of calories in the moment, but as soon as you finish a cardio, that's it. And for weight training, we are changing the structure, the foundation of our metabolic rate. And so it helps us to burn fat after we've finished our strength training. So if I'm weightlifting at 7 a.m., at this time, it's 11, there might be some residual fat burning still happening through my system because of the weight training that I did earlier in the morning. So that is the benefit of strength training. It works for you and then some afterwards.
That's great advice. And, maybe for women who are going to the gym, if there are gyms open right now, and they just see all these other guys lifting weights and they might feel super intimidated to go pick one up or think like, am I doing it right? Is my form right? Do you have maybe words of encouragement for those women?
Yes, that's why we have the virtual studio, so you can work at it. No, I think it's an uphill battle for women. We struggle with that stigma of feeling like if we lift too heavy, we're going to bulk up. And then we also deal with the insecurities of being in a space where we don't quite feel confident and know what we're doing. And honestly, that is when a trainer is a great tool and resource for you. Is that me? Oh gosh. No, that wasn't me.
My phone's off.
I think it's, a trainer can be just a great resource to help you feel a little bit more empowered and confident. Even if it's not someone that, you don't have to always have a trainer in your life, but maybe working with a trainer for a few sessions where you can feel confident enough that you can, get a program together and know what you're doing so that when you step up to the weight rack, you know what you're doing. You don't have to think too much about it. Or engaging in a group class setting. Those are two sort of alternatives that I usually kind of offer out there to those, because it is extremely intimidating, even for me, to go into a gym when I am surrounded by bulky big dudes, because let's be honest, men love to crowd around those, dumbbell racks in that area. But
Yeah.
this is a big part of it, right? I mean, it's not just about the physical. This is a mental
Mm,
game as well. We're building our confidence, we're empowering ourselves, we're stepping out of our comfort zone.
mm,
So it goes hand in hand with all of the work that we're doing. We want you to feel confident enough to get up there to the weight squat rack and be like, yeah, I got this. I'm feeling empowered. So a trainer can really help you get there, those classes, that support group and that network. Black Girls Lift, which is why it's so fabulous, right? You feel
yeah.
supported and you can feel empowered to not only go out and do that in a group setting, but also when you're on your own, remember how you felt when you were with that group and
Mm, that's such great advice. Remember how you felt when you were with the group. And I love this group because it is so nice to be able to just have conversations with or connect with or hear from people who kind of understand the struggle and like what you're going through and maybe certain things that we might be afraid to bring up or ask other people. This, I love this group. I want to ask, we talked a little bit about what happens when you're busy and trying to like maintain your workout schedule. How much do people actually need to be working out, do you think, in order to see real results?
So, I mean, I think, everybody's different and every body is different. And I know that's a very generalized response, but it depends on your goals and what kind of results you want to see. Is it weight loss? Is it weight maintenance, weight gain? And, how quickly do you want to see it? What your composition, what you're made up of in terms of your genetics, and what you have going on in your life. I think that this can be an answer that I could give pretty easily if I didn't think a lot about this, because we get caught up in like, all right, if you want to see results, you got to be working out 5-6 times a week.
Yeah.
It really depends. What are your goals? What do you want to see happen? How do you want to feel? How does it fit into your life? I think when it comes to someone who maybe might be starting off right off the jump, their first time lifting weights and they want to lose weight, I would say the more often that you're doing this on a regular basis, the better, because you are working to shift your mindset into, I'm moving more often and it's part of my life. It is a lifestyle. So even if it's only 10 minutes, if you do it every day, I would say that that's going to lead to more of a sustainable change that you'll see versus 1 hour for 2 times a week.
Mm. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I love that you incorporated the fact that it's more than just a physical transformation, it's an
Mm-hmm.
entire mental transformation. And for some people, that part might actually be harder than just the physical part.
You better believe it. You better believe it.
Mm. And so, people are always curious on the other side of the fitness conversation about the eating conversation, about what's happening in the kitchen. So I just want to ask a little bit about, your eating habits. What does your diet look like on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm. I would say personally, I end up eating very often throughout my day, smaller portions. That's just what resonates the best with my body. And I also am quite busy, so I like to buy a lot of things that are quick and easy for me to eat. I'm a big snacker and what I guess they would call a grazer. Um, and I think too, for someone who again is honing in on their journey for the first time, eating more frequently, again, I think leads to a little bit easier of a transition to that healthier lifestyle, because you're constantly fueling your body and you're working on portions. So I would say portions are almost even more priority when you're kind of honing in on your nutrition than what you're eating first. So getting your portions right. But Again, with my snacks, I always try to mix my carbs with my proteins because those two work really well in unison. So a carb is going to create that sugar spike, and then the protein helps bring that spike down through adding those two together. So it's a really good combination. And when I say carb, I mean primarily veggies and fruits. So, even thinking about having, a banana with peanut butter. That's your healthy carb. You also get some fats in there, which is great. And then you've got your protein through your peanut butter. That's a pretty filling little snack right there. You'd be surprised. And the more often you have those little things that keep you fueled and feeling satiated throughout your day, the more success you're going to see with that journey.
So what other, like, that sounds like a great snack. I'm like, I might go eat that after this conversation. What other snack recommendations do you have, if any, for people who like to snack?
Yeah. So if you like, you can always go for, like a lower fat cheese. I like string cheese personally. I'll have that with an apple. I love hummus and carrots. And, I'll cut up cucumber and tomatoes and mix that with a little bit of oil and sea salt. It tastes good. But little things like that, I mean, when you work with a trainer, and I think a lot of the work that we'll be doing with Black Girls Lift is going over some of these really easy ideas for meals that you can fit in. And I think so much of the time we get overwhelmed because what if I didn't meal prep? What do I grab? And have those little things is a lot more attainable than I have to sit there and make an entire feast right now. That's overwhelming to me. So I don't meal prep. So, I have to really think about all of those snacks and having a big variety, because I get bored. So I have to kind of mix it up. And it's always cool because everybody's got their different snacks. And I always ask other people, do you have a snack that you enjoy?
Me personally, popcorn. I'm such a popcorn girl.
Too. That's one of my favorites, and it's great. It's high in fiber, which is always good.
Good to know. Good to know.
Like, I just like it because it tastes good, but
I know. I mean, I've heard people say that it's like a great snack. I also, I'm going to be honest, I don't even know if the type of popcorn that I'm always eating is the healthy type, because I do like the butter salt taste.
No, I'm a big popcorn fan, so that I always have that in my docket for sure.
Oh, I love that. Do you have like a favorite meal that you like to prepare for yourself?
So I love pizza. But this is what I always say. Pizza, what I'll do is I will make a big salad, and that salad will dominate my plate. I'll have one slice or two, but I will fill my plate, cover even my piece of pizza with my salad, and I vary my salads greatly. So I throw in all kinds of things in there so it never gets boring. But I think I'm a big advocate of kind of more championing the fact that carbs do not have to be your enemy. You can have a balance. And especially once you start working out more, it's okay. That's kind of why I love to throw that in there, because I think a lot of people are like, what? You're a trainer and you said you love pizza? Like, that's what you want to promote right now? But I think we have to remember we're human. We have to be people, right? This is the life we lead. I mean, I'm never going to say I'm never having pizza anymore because that's just not a realistic, attainable thing. And we have to live within a realistic kind of, mindset here, right?
So true. I know there are people who only love eating healthy, but they actually love it. I have friends who just they don't crave pizza or burgers or tacos or any of those things. And I'm like, man, I'm jealous of you because that is not my life.
It's weird though, because at the same time, I also really love vegetables. I really, really do. You find the right combination with the right spices and you put it together and it's like, wow, this doesn't taste bad. I don't dread eating my vegetables. having the balance between all, those vegetables and then maybe some carbs on some days, that maybe you're doing more training or whatnot. But yeah, I think that's what I have to say.
Do you count your calories at all?
I don't. And, I think I'm not against counting calories. I think it can be very helpful for folks who are just, at the beginning of their journey and they want to really start understanding how many calories they need in order to be successful with their goals.
Mhm.
It's a great check-in. And then eventually, and this is something I know that you talked to HJ about too, you will eventually learn your body so well that you might not need to do that anymore. And, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm pretty in tune with my body. I know how much I need to eat in order to stay within my range of where I feel good and best. So, again, this is a lifestyle journey and you learn along the way. And as you learn, you don't have to sit there and count. You can kind of eyeball things and, so that's what I would say. I don't personally, but I've worked with clients at the beginning of their process to do that, and then build themselves in a way where they feel they don't need to do it. So I think it can work both ways. It's a little bit harder when you don't. But if you're in it for the long game, you can get there without doing it. And I promise you that. It's a little bit harder, but you can get there.
See, I love having these conversations with different women, just because everybody's response is a little different. Everyone's routine's a little different, and all of our bodies are different, So it's really nice to give people kind of like the option to be like, oh, okay, she does that. That works for me, and to like pick and choose and take. So, you're giving just so much helpful information. So have you ever had to cope with an injury while working out, or do you have advice for people who might be dealing with an injury?
Yes, while I was in graduate school, I broke my foot doing a backflip at a barbecue because that's all here, right outside on uneven ground. I landed wrong on my foot and broke a few little bones, and I was devastated. As someone who is constantly on the move, very active, it was extremely hard. And, I think anyone that has experienced an injury at any point in time can understand that struggle. It's a mental game, it really is. But just like training is a mental game, it requires you to really take a step back and give yourself the perspective to listen to the professionals, what they're saying, take the rest that you need in order to fully recover. Because the worst thing that can happen is if you jump back into things too soon, then you're delaying that process to kind of get back into where you want to be. It's a reroute. It's not necessarily a deterrent. And I think we just have to remember that even though things don't always go the way we want, that's life. And, when you're rerouted, that's okay. But it is important to honor your body and get the rest and the treatment that you need. You're going to be focusing on strengthening, but it might look a little different than what you were doing in the gym, but it's important to get to where you want to be. So just being patient, giving yourself the grace, rerouting up here, and working through it with professionals. But yeah, have you ever had an injury before? It's tough.
Oh, I actually just recently had to you can't see it now, but I got stitches on my shoulder. I was trying to break into my house because I locked myself out and the window shattered. I had to get like 10 stitches, and I just couldn't do anything with my arm for weeks. And, mentally it's so hard to move through that because you're like, there's so much I want to do and there's so much I can't do, but my body is physically stopping me. So there's this whole control issue, we're not feeling, in control of your body.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's big mentally, especially when you're kind of thinking to yourself, I know I can do this, but your body, no, okay, let's take a step back. Yeah.
That's hard. And then you mentioned too that this happened when you were in grad school. And I'm just curious if you don't mind sharing. So you were in undergrad and you've had this, life path, and then you went to grad school and kind of shifted. Was it hard for you to kind of explain to friends and family like what your career path was going to look like, where people were like, a trainer, like how are you going to do that?
Oh, so much of the time. And I talked to several trainers about this. It was hard. My family was very concerned, thinking this is not, how are you going to make money? Is this a really successful career path? It's such a shift. And for me too, I had to start over. And after having received my undergrad, the humbling moment where I had to go back and get my prerequisites to go from a BA to an MS. I got my master's in science and health promotion management and started diving into exercise physiology and, health promotion more on the corporate wellness side. And yeah, it was hard, but I mean, I think just as hard as it is when you start your own business too, you have to follow your path. And as much noise as you're going to hear from all sides, you have to just be true to yourself no matter what. I constantly dealt with that criticism and the feedback of, is this really a good idea? But to me, it was my truth. And I continued to push for, owning that truth. And I think with that comes that gratification and, you find who you truly are. So it's really important to stay true to yourself no matter what.
I have no matter what tattooed on my arm. I wholeheartedly believe that, live by it. So I love that you stay true to who you are and that you're now able to just give the world, all of who you are in the best possible way. And I read this quote by Brene Brown. She's like, people are always asking, what does the world need? But the world needs people who are on fire for what they do. The world needs people who are full of passion. And you bring so much fire and passion to what you're doing. So I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite quotes. You got me so excited. I was like, yes, girl. So how can people get connected with you? How can they stay connected?
Well, I'm really excited because I'll be doing a lot of work in the near future with Black Girls Lift. So you'll find me there. And also, if you're ever interested in joining in on one of the virtual classes that I offer on the platform, I offer 1 week free. So you can always hop on, try it for a week, try out a class or two or 5, and see what we have going on. So my company is called Salina D Fitness. So you can find me on Instagram there, salinadfitness.com. And from the website, you can easily go on and sign up for your week free. Follow me on social media. And I'm always open to having a discussion about these things because I think it is truly important. And it can be confusing and a really hard time for folks. And this is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing this, to be supportive, especially within our community. So, I'm always open. DM me, reach out, text me even if you want to. I'm here to have this open dialogue and this discussion and to help us just keep, being our best selves and living in this greatness.
Well, thank you for making yourself available. Do you have kind of any last closing thoughts or words of wisdom for people who might be watching?
I think just always continue to learn and grow. Don't be afraid to do that. And that's really all I can say. I appreciate you, Kiera. This was wonderful. Thank you so much. And looking forward to hopefully talking to you in the near future again.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you were here with us and that you were vulnerable enough to kind of share pieces of your story. Instagram is great and social media is great, but I love being able to kind of dive in and meet the person behind the picture. So thank you for doing this with us. Please stay safe and take care.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.